Welcome to the Taylor James Show, where we pair extraordinary wine with extraordinary musicians. Our special guest is Chicago-born blues guitarist, singer, and songwriter Tom Lavin. We'll hear about his passion for wine and his award-winning career as founding member of the Powder Blues Band. But first, to Okanagan Estate Wine Shop to pair the perfect wine to complement Tom's unique talent. Well, here we are at the Okanagan Estate Wine Shop in beautiful Kitsilano. We are so excited to be here. There's so many reasons why this is a great wine store. VQA only features BC wines, and I have with me my band sommelier, Jeff Hicks.
Hi, hello.
Drummer. And we have the beautiful Gigi, who is representing the wine store. He has a great knowledge of wine. What would you like to tell us about the uniqueness of this store?
Well, our store is really unique because it's basically a one-stop shop. You can buy your wine, have a picnic. We have cheese, we have food, so you don't have to go very far. We like to focus on a lot of local artisan foods and items. So people like that.
Local.
Nice small feel. Mm-hmm. It's really friendly here. Everybody knows everyone. So
it's a nice community, isn't it?
It's a great community.
Beautiful shop, beautiful store.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I love that you support local. We need to do more of that. Apparently
agree.
your vegan cheese has been a real hit.
Yeah.
That's
I'm really
great for all the
excited
vegans
about
out there. There's even a vegan wine section.
There is a vegan wine
Wow.
section.
Very cool.
I eat myself.
Yeah. And so today we're pairing wine with the one and only legendary Tom Lavin, the founder of Powder Blues.
Awesome.
So Jeff and Gigi are going to take it from here because they are the experts. I'm not. And let's go for it.
All right.
So let's talk about what you picked.
Yeah, so the first wine that I picked is a wine from Summerhill Winery, which is in the Okanagan.
Delicious.
It's an organic wine. They do only organic and vegan wines. I chose the Pinot Noir just because I find it's a little bit more of an intense flavor. Mm-hmm. It's a very unique wine. There's, I think, only one other winery that makes Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
It's got an intense flavor. It's got a little bit of that tobacco,
Nice.
which is really
Tobacco.
blues.
Cool.
It's a very earthy wine. Great with pairing with cheeses and charcuteries.
Yeah.
Which you have here.
Which we have
Got all
here.
here.
Local.
Yes, we do. Local.
That sounds bluesy, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, it reminded you of smoky blues and jazz clubs.
Exactly.
Back in the day,
It did. It did.
which is kind of a gross memory, but also brings back some very
it
fond
brings
memories.
back some great memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
So I
Good
like
choice.
that one.
That's awesome.
The second wine I chose was Compendium. This is a wine that's made by Mission Hill, which
Nice.
incidentally is going organic as well. This is one of their big Legacy series wines. And when I think about Legacy, I thought about Tom.
Yep.
And this is also a blend. So it blends a really nice, intense, earthy flavor with Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc.
Kind of,
Jazz, blues.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a Bordeaux style varietals all there.
Exactly. It's
Very
very
nice.
elegant, but it also has a lot of staying power. So it's a wine that you
Love
can,
that.
put in your cellar for a long time, and it's going to be even better when you
know,
open it.
Everybody says this, but
Yeah.
we haven't figured out quite how to lay it down. Like, it doesn't last more than
40 minutes. No,
40 minutes.
No, week, a full week.
Just kidding. Kidding, but we're not. But no, it'd be great if we could let something lay down for 7 years. Imagine. It's
Imagine.
incredible.
Yeah, so it'll be an amazing
Beautiful.
wine.
It deserves that.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. So, but if we
Absolutely.
opened it now, it'd still be good, right?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
a 2012.
And would you
so-
say it's smooth, or is it got a? What would the finish be like?
Oh, it's going to be like a full, lush, meal in your mouth type of
Nice.
wine. Yeah,
Nice.
it's amazing.
Very nice. Great choice.
Yes.
All right. What else do we have?
The last wine that I chose is from the Sunrock Vineyards. It's a Jackson Triggs wine.
Yeah, I've never heard of this one.
Yeah, this is the Cabernet Sauvignon. And one of the reasons I chose was it because I think that when I think about Cabernet Sauvignon, it's a wine that everyone recognizes the name for.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I mean, the Powder Blues Band, that for me is a band that has been around for a long time. Everybody knows.
Instantly recognizable.
Instantly recognizable.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a big, bold wine. It's very earthy. It's got some like roots, which is a lot like
Nice.
the blues.
Absolutely.
But it's also got some, vivaciousness to it. It's a fairly great wine to pair with lots of different meats and
Yeah.
Very
So-
nice. Excellent. Well, this is going to be tough.
I know.
What
do
do
we
you think,
narrow it
Jeff?
down?
I don't know.
I think your picks are incredible, and all of
Thank
them
you.
have merit. And I really would like to open all three right now and try to
Let's do that.
make that happen. What do you think?
Well, I'm kind of in a toss-up between the Baco and the Compendium. But I think for me, when I'm thinking about the Powder Blues Band and Tom, I probably would go for the Baco Noir.
Nice.
Just
Yeah.
because, like you said, it reminds me of the past, back in the day,
Yeah,
where we used
yeah.
to be able to actually smoke.
Yeah.
But also just because of its uniqueness
Sure.
as well.
Singular taste.
Singular taste. It's got, again, that really earthy feel to it. It also has that intensity.
I like that it's organic.
It's
Yeah, that's
organic,
cool.
which is
Yeah,
great.
which
It's really great.
You do a great job at Summerhill.
And
doing
you know,
that.
organic meat. I also think that there's a relationship with the organic music of the blues.
Most certainly.
You can go off the beaten trail, but it's really real and honest.
Absolutely.
So
Authentic.
authentic.
It's very
Is
authentic.
this making sense?
Yeah, most certainly.
That's
Yeah,
a
I think
beautiful.
you-
So you're choosing that one?
I'm going to choose this
I
one.
think that's
it's
a great
great
choice.
pick.
I
I'm
think Tom will
right
be
on with
thrilled.
All right, so the wine that I chose is the Summerhill Baco Noir. That's an organic wine from Kelowna, BC, and I think that best represents Tom and the Powder Blues Band.
Perfect choice.
Good choice.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
excited. I'm thrilled. We haven't had an organic wine on
No,
the show yet,
no.
so that's fantastic. You'll love
Super.
it. Yay.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
much.
Thank you, Estate Wine Shop.
Thank
We
you
really
so much
appreciate
for
it.
having me
Yay,
as well.
Great job.
I'll give you a kiss.
Oh, yay!
Yay, you got that one too. You look lonely over there.
One, two, 4.
Beautiful people, beautiful magazines, beautiful shopping malls, beautiful TV screens. What would you like to be? How would you like to feel? We got just what you need. Why don't we make a deal? Building a perfect world out of perfect homes. Keeping up with the Jones. Get out your credit cards. Pick up your cell phone. We got just what you need. Keeping up with the Jones. Beautiful bodies, beautiful meats, beautiful cyberspace, beautiful window seat. We make your motor run, we make your skin so smooth. There is nothing on earth that we cannot improve. Building a perfect world out of silicone. Keeping up with the Jones. Get out your credit cards. Hey, pick up your cell phone. We got just what you need. Keeping up with the Jones. What everybody wants, what everybody owns. It's a stampede. Keeping up with the Jones. Beautiful people, beautiful common sense, beautiful open field, beautiful barbed wire fence. We do just what we want you to consume. We're gonna fill you up till you run out of room. When it all blows apart, we'll sell you sticks and stones. Keeping up with the Jones. Get out your credit cards. Hey, pick up your cell phone. We got just what you need. Keeping up with the Jones. What everybody wants, what everybody
Tom Lavin.
That's me.
I'm so excited.
I'm feeling real comfortable. You got one of marvelous studios.
You're
out
looking
here.
so comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I asked you earlier, how come we haven't met yet?
That's a good question. I guess we never got in physical proximity to have someone introduce us.
Yeah.
But this is a nice way to meet.
This is a great way to meet.
And you know, and it is now we can document the initial meeting.
That's right. That happened today.
That's good.
I
Somewhere right up there with the Magna Carta signing, I think.
This is so fun. Okay, so we're going to start with why we're here, essentially, in the sense of that I have this show that we pair wine with musicians.
Right. Well, musicians have often been paired with those type of substances.
They have. And I was wondering if you drank wine, and I learned that you do.
Only in my waking hours.
Oh my goodness, we're going to get along so good.
I think so.
Okay, so we went to a very community-oriented wine store on about 4th and Alma. Not actually, kind of in your hood, maybe.
Yeah, not too far.
It's called the Okanagan Estate Wine Shop, only BC wines. So we had this beautiful manager, her name is Gigi. She was the one who paired wine with you. So she took it quite seriously, but she really took the reins, and she chose this beautiful organic wine, Pinot Noir. I've never heard of this before. Have you?
I know the Noir. I don't know the tobacco.
Neither do I. So she felt it was very tobacco, which I felt was the blues.
Yeah.
So we're going to try it. I'm going to pour yours
I would
first.
too.
Yeah. Looks like a nice color. Yes.
Do we know what the grapes are that go in there? Is it a Pinot Noir grape?
Well,
okay, planted throughout, the Pinot Noir is a grape planted throughout the Okanagan Valley in the 70s for its hardiness and disease resistance. And I can say as much for the people who live in the Okanagan who need that because they can get hot and cold. Most was pulled out in the late 80s to make way for the classic European varieties. Now these old vines, that's why they paired it with me, are managed organically to create this delicious wine, living history of British Columbia. I like this idea.
And your living history of the
So
blues
far.
scene, right?
Yeah.
I think this is a great pairing. Okay, so we're going to thank Okanagan Estate Wine Shop. We're going to swirl this around. What do you think? It's pretty nice, huh? Oh my goodness, that's beautiful.
And ready to drink.
I'm ready to drink.
No tannins left in there. This is a drink it in the wine.
Love.
That's
Thank
very
you,
nice.
Gigi. Yeah.
Fruity.
Fruity. If you're ever in that area, you should stop in and say hi to Gigi.
Well, I may do that.
So I'm curious to know, Chicago, the Windy City, is that what they call it?
It is windy. You know, every spring, the Chicago Tribune, which is one of the big papers there, always features on the front page somebody at the bus stop leaning like this into the wind. And it's because it's not a gusty wind, it's a wind that just continually blows. It comes from the north, off Lake Michigan. And the grid work of Chicago doesn't have too many diagonal streets, so it just blows down the streets. And literally, you could just lean into the thing.
I would not want to live there.
That's...
Just for me because of my hair.
Windy City has nothing to do with Gas Town. It's not windy in that regard. It's wind off the lake.
Yeah.
Trust me. I was born there in 1950, and I left there 69.
And did you come right to Vancouver?
I did. I was chasing a girl.
That was going to be my next question. Why
Sorry,
Vancouver? So in Chicago, were you playing music?
I was. Yeah, I had bands since I was a kid, and at that time I was going to Roosevelt University in Chicago, and there were auditions for the musical Hair.
Oh my goodness.
And so I actually tried out for Hair and was accepted for the Chicago cast. And then my girlfriend came to Vancouver and I had a choice. And I think I made the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first time I came, was May of 1969.
That's fabulous.
I moved here permanently, September of 69, to go to Vancouver School of Art, which later became Emily Carr University.
So you had, was it Uncut?
Uncut.
That's the album that did so well for you. What I
That
found
was the first Powder Blues record.
Right, and what I loved about the story behind that was that the record companies didn't think there was anybody would want to listen to the blues.
Absolutely.
And
but they're always the last.
And look
to
what
know.
happened.
They're always the last to know.
I know.
I've got good stories about that, actually, because, I tried to sell that record to the record companies, and I was turned down by everybody, and then I went and pressed it myself. And when I'd sold probably 20 times the records they thought it would sell, they all came back and started bidding to distribute it. And that record has gone on to sell, probably close to 300,000 copies in Canada.
Yeah.
But it happened twice after that. The second time, I went to the guy who turned it down. We don't want to mention names. It was the A&R guy from Capitol Records, Dean Cameron. and I said, Dean, this was 1980, and I think we just won the Juno, and I said, for Best New Group. And I was sitting in his office, and I said, in Toronto, and I said, Dean, I just heard a great guitar player that you should really sign. And no one knows about him outside of Texas. He's like, plays like Jimi Hendrix.
Stevie Ray Vaughan,
and
I'm guessing.
He said, his name is Stevie Ray Vaughan, because we just played with him. We were doing a number of gigs.
So he wasn't famous yet?
Not really, no, just in Texas.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I said, you got to sign this guy. And he says, what does he play? And I said, well, he plays blues. And he said, after my record was double platinum, and I was telling him about Stevie Ray Vaughan, he said, blues doesn't sell. And so that went by the wayside. And a few years, probably 4 or 5 years went by, and I was back in that same guy's office. And I said to him, the last time I told you about Stevie Ray Vaughan, you passed on signing him, and now he's a huge star. There's another guy who plays easily at that level, who lives in your town. And he said, what's his gimmick? And I said, well, he's blind and he plays guitar on his lap. And he said, what does he play? And I said, blues. And he said, blues doesn't sell.
He must have been tortured by a blues person in his life.
So he passed, and I guess Jeff was signed by Clive Davis, and the rest is
we know the
history.
history about that for sure. So your music is so, horn section, come on. It's got to be
That's
the best.
Chicago.
It's the
I
best.
grew up with that.
So that's where it comes
for
from.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled that you have the horn section today. It's going to be amazing. I'm looking so forward to that. You've been through a lot. You've been through this business for a long, long time. How did you marry your career with your family life and all that? Was it hard to balance that?
Well, yeah. I have 4 kids, and the oldest 2 are 40 and 38. So when they were growing up, I was on the road lots, and I missed a lot of their childhood, and I sort of was unhappy about that. I mean, we're still close. I speak to them both weekly, and I'm friends with their mom, and we're all close and everything, but I missed a lot. I remarried a younger woman. We have 2 young children, so my son is now 11.
Wow.
My daughter's 9.
Wow.
But now I'm sort of home all the time, and they're always my first priority, and I love being Mr. Mom.
Nice.
But yeah, it's not easy to balance that, I don't think, for anybody.
Yeah.
Lots of stories we know about that.
So is there anything that you'd do differently?
Well, I lived a lot of lives simultaneously, although I've toured continually every year for the last 42 with Powder Blues. Simultaneous to that, I ran a number of public companies. So I started the first internet company in Western Canada, Axion Internet.
Wow.
And I took that public. And that was a funny story, because in '99, the investors in that said to me, the internet is a fad.
Nobody's going to listen to the blues.
And it's over. The internet's a fad and it's over. This is '99.
Wow.
And so I resigned that day and cashed in all my shares. And I started a second company on NASDAQ, which was a viral email marketing and cloud software company. And ran that until the dot-com crash. Got out of that real well. Did a reverse takeover to a biotech company. And subsequently owned a number of award-winning French bistros and started a private post-secondary school, Pacific Audiovisual Institute, that I ran for 15 years.
Oh, goodness.
So I had a lot of different hats I was wearing at the time.
I'll say.
And I don't think I would have really, it was too narrow just to tour all the time. Even if you love music every waking hour, living on planes and driving from gig to gig can get repetitious.
Yeah.
So I think it kept it fresh from me to be able to do a number of different things.
How did you find the time to do all that? That's incredible.
I figured I'd sleep when I was dead.
So how did you come into enjoying wine, to have a cellar like you have?
I was in Spain, got in it early 70s, and when the economy crashed. And I was living on what is now a very hip place, but there it was, in those days, it was an out-of-the-way place, the island of Ibiza. And it was just lemon orchards and wooden courts with solid wooden wheels. They hadn't had spokes yet.
Wow.
And you could get Tinto, just normal pub Spanish red, for about 15 pesetas, which was 30 cents for a liter. And so it was cheap and cheerful, and that's where it sort of started. And for the last 40 years, I've sort of moved on from there. I got interested, and I liked it. And
Do you have wines that you're having?
wine is my co-pilot.
Wines are co-pilot. It's my co-pilot too.
All right.
Do you have wines that are sitting for years, that kind of thing? Do you go that far?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I run about 800 bottles in my cellar, but I like to drink about where my cellar's at. It's naturally temperature controlled.
So is it 13 degrees? Is that about where?
Well, it'll go anywhere between 12 and 17 over the year, because it's just.
Oh my gosh, it sounds so.
It's just happening.
Like a dream.
But and of course you have special wines, but mostly it's just your house wines. You know what you drink every
day
or every other day. I don't want to admit to drinking every day. Probably I do. But I'd usually right now I'm drinking about. I'm just finishing the 2011s.
Wow.
So we drink about 8 years back.
That's bad.
I deliberately looked for wines. This is great wine, but I wouldn't buy it to put it down. I'd buy it to drink now. That's probably 2016.
16, yeah.
16?
Good guess.
Yeah, 2016.
So I look for wines that have more tannic structure and that have a higher alcohol content. I won't buy anything less than 13.5.
Yeah, that's about right. But
And then
I've got some that at home that are like 15.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if it's got good tannins, then it usually will last 8 years. And then, if you buy a few, you can take them out every once in a while and see how they're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's
like
loads
checking
of
on
fun.
your kids.
It's loads of fun when you find you've got a bunch of one kind and you think, oh, this is not going to get any better. We can drink this for now.
Oh my God, we would be dangerous together.
I think
This
so,
is so funny. I love it. I love it, love it. Okay, so we're going to be singing soon, but before we go there, 2 more questions. What's the day look like at home when you're not performing and you're not a musician? What are you doing?
My kids are my full-time entertainment. I'm just crazy about it. My daughter does modern dance and does gymnastics and is playing the violin. And, this is not an instrument I was ever drawn to. And so I certainly did encourage her. And she came to me about a year ago and she said, Dad, I need a violin. And I said, why? And she said, I want to feel what it's like to put one under my chin.
Wow.
And it knocked me out. And we went and we got a violin that day.
Wow.
And I got a bigger one for me, so I figured I'd learn with her. So she's doing really well now.
That's
but
a
I
tough
was
instrument
playing
to
My
play.
Favorite Thing by John Coltrane. My Favorite Things, the Hammerstein and Rogers tune, right? And I heard her the next day in her room, figuring it out by ear. And so now we play little duets together.
I think the most important thing with children in music is a lot of people will force their kids to get into lessons because it's almost like they're living through their children, that's wanting them to do what they didn't do. And in my family, I had an uncle who was a great guitar player, and he'd come and sing songs with us, and they were from Toronto. It was always a big deal when Uncle Frank showed up. And I would be the little kid sitting on the floor watching his hands and watching him play, and everybody else would be running around outside and playing. And I didn't even know then, but I was just immediately taken with music. And I have given lessons to kids from parents who I really want my daughter to play or my son to play, and you just kind of know it's not going to happen because they're just not interested. And it really has to come from the heart. And I can totally get why you would have been so, I'd almost get emotional about hearing if your daughter come to you and saying that to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's huge. And my son I had a little drum set, so we had...
The family band,
He
Partridge
played the
Family.
drums, and we used to have a duo, and we played at his school for dances.
I saw some of that on your Facebook page. That was so cute.
We called the band Reuben and the Jet.
Oh,
I'm sort of a slow jet.
that was great.
And then he said, I don't want to play drums, I want to play the bass. And I said, why do you want to play the bass? And he says, well, I heard this tune that you don't know. It's called I Want You Back, and it's by the Jackson 5. And I said, boo.
That you don't know.
Ba-do-do-do-do, I said, you want to learn that bass line? I said, that's Wilton Felder. That's very heavy stuff. It's like James Jamerson or something. He says, well, I like that. I need to play that.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
So yeah, we suffer that out together.
That's great.
But he's into coding now on a computer, and so I'm always running to catch up to my kids.
Look at though, he's music and computers. It's a little carbon copy of you.
It seems to be.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's neat.
So what are you most grateful for?
Being here.
Yay! Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
At my age, I'm thrilled to be anywhere, but this is this is sort of special.
It's very special.
Yeah.
I am so stoked about us playing together.
Well, we'll do that.
And the band is excited. Just so you know, John Ellis, who is our band director and my producer, he's produced a couple of my records, and we play together a lot. He was like a child, so excited to hear you were coming. And you have been a very big inspiration. He may not have told you this, but you were an inspiration for him to play guitar, and he really, really, really has a tremendous amount of respect for you. So he's thrilled.
I love Johnny's musicianship.
Yeah.
He's a marvelous guitar player and a great natural musician. And
Yeah, he
I was
is.
fortunate to meet him way back when he had this band called Pacina. And I wound up producing him in my studio.
That's right. I heard it.
This would have been early 80s, I would think.
Yeah.
80, 81, way back when. I've always loved John, and I think the world of him. So it's great that you guys are playing together,
Yeah.
and we'll all play some
Well,
music.
let's toast to that. Let's have one more shout out to Gigi and the Okanagan Estate Wine Shop.
Thank you.
Thank you for the wine. Cheers, and I can't wait.
Delicious, yeah.
It's delicious.
We'll finish this off first.
We will. No.
You got some catching up to do later.